This is Logical Logistics, where we cover shipping, supply chain, logistics, and everything in between. Welcome to the show.
Hey everybody, it's Joe Becht for another edition of Logical Logistics. Today, once again, we are joined by Brandon Freed from the Air Freight Forwarders Association. Seems just like yesterday we were meeting in person in Nashville for the Air Cargo 2020, and now the Air Cargo 2021 is going virtual.
We're starting off this year with this virtual event, which takes place on January 27th. There's registration now. You can go to aircargoconference.com. And the first event is one entitled Trade, Geopolitics, and the Economy in the Wake of the 2020 Election. And we have as our guest Pete Mento, who we've had a couple of times as our keynote speaker. He will be keynoting this. He's going to talk about what the freight forwarding industry can expect by virtue of the results of the most recent election. He's going to look at trade policy, logistics infrastructure, and how he expects the global economy to run. He's a funny guy, and he tends to present in a nonpartisan, lively, and energetic way, and it really gets you thinking. So that's going to be the first event. That's on January 27th. And then every couple of months, we're going to keep the conversation going throughout 2021. On March 24th, we're going to have a session on how to diversify and add new verticals to expand your customer base and thrive. And then in May, we're going to do something on JIT and reshoring and inventory, and how warehousing can keep up with demand. In July, we're going to do something on the upcoming ICAO 2021 account consignor alleviation, which is occurring overseas, and how it's going to impact truckers, forwarders, cargo airlines, and airports. And then, of course, on September 22nd, we're going to be having a session just on the airport ground handling dilemma. Actually, I call it the airport congestion dilemma, which will also coincide with a new committee that we are beginning here at the Air Forwarders Association on airport congestion. We're starting to see, we've seen that everywhere now, most of the major gateways. And it's not just here in the United States, Joe, it's worldwide.
Right.
Lots of different reasons.
That should be really interesting now that Southwest is now expanding in a few different airports. Now they're going into O'Hare in February.
So only one term or one expression comes to mind when I heard about Southwest making these changes, and that's nature abhors a vacuum. And so this is what happens when you get into a situation like that. Airlines make strategic decisions, and the airlines have had a tough road throughout this pandemic, as you well know, and as your listeners know. We have 50% of the world's capacity idled, and bringing it back to life is not going to happen quickly.
Right.
But obviously, there's some promising news by advent of these two vaccines.
Yes.
That, I'm no medical expert, but I'm assuming they're showing some promise based on what I'm hearing and reading. And if they get their trials done, I guess we'll start seeing within the next couple of months, we'll start seeing the beginnings of the inoculations. Yeah, that's going to be a massive undertaking. It will
be a massive undertaking, but concerning our industry, the two articles I read today from accredited sources state that our people in our industry are going to be third in line for the vaccine, essential workers. People that are out there. I mean, they're talking everyone from people doing deliveries to working on the airlines to grocery store workers. They're saying they're third in line after the healthcare workers and the vulnerable.
Yeah, my sense is that, and I could be wrong, but my sense is that this is going to accelerate faster than we think and faster than they're forecasting.
Yeah.
And I think that our industry, the freight forwarding industry, as well as the freight transportation industry in general, will be at the tip of the spear. We will be the boots on the ground. We're going to leverage the commercial creativity, know-how in solving what is probably arguably the most significant logistical challenge that we've ever had to wrestle with. And I think that, based on the folks that I've been talking with, this is going to proceed pretty quick. Joe, you and I are around the same age group, but I remember back when we were in college, you remember the, what was it, swine flu, and they had to give out I remember being in school and reporting to the gym for my swine flu vaccine, which was required. Right. And they got that rolled out pretty quick.
Yeah.
This is on a grander scale, but I'm sure, you got to remember, this is an inoculation. It's not as though everyone's got it and they got to be cured of it.
Right.
So I think that, at this point in time, this is really an opportunity for all of us to shine. We tell our wives and our families what we do for a living is really important and that we're smart and we're creative. This is going to prove it.
Yes. Agreed. Definitely. Now back to the air cargo. Man, it seems like a lifetime ago when we were in Nashville.
Yeah.
So now for the one in 2021, is it just going to be a keynote speaker, or are there going to be other events virtually, or how?
Yeah, so it's initially going to be a keynote speaker.
Okay.
And there'll probably be some discussion back and forth.
Yeah.
We had toyed around with doing a virtual exhibit hall.
Yes.
And we did some investigating about that, and we found that probably wouldn't be the right solution for our group because the technology can be challenging.
And it's so impersonal, and it really can be a mess.
Yeah, I mean, Joe, every year I like to see you face to face, shake your hand, and we talk, and maybe have a beer, and I don't care how great technology is, it's not going to replace that. So, but we're going to have a group of sponsors. We're looking for sponsors now. So if you're listening to this and you're interested in sponsoring, let us know. So, we'll have ways for folks to learn about new products and to get exposed to companies that are serving the industry.
That's great.
Yeah.
So now you're definitely going to book New Orleans for 2022. Wow, we're talking.
Yes. Plan on New Orleans 2022. Yeah. We'll provide more information on that shortly, and the way things are looking at this point, we're there. And we're excited about it because we've been in New Orleans before. We've always had very successful conferences there, and this should be no exception.
Right. Now, go over the topics once again, the main topics that are going to be covered this year.
Sure. So the first one is going to be dealing with trade, geopolitics, and the economy in the wake of the 2020 election.
Yeah.
The second one in March is going to be on how to diversify and add new verticals to expand your customer base to thrive.
Sure.
The one in May is on just-in-time inventory. Is it still alive? The impact of reshoring and inventorying. Can warehousing keep up with demand? Because we all know warehousing is challenging right now.
Yeah.
In July, we're going to talk about the ICAO 2021 account consignor decision, which basically is alleviating the account consignor regime. It's going to require possibly, let's put it this way. It's going to require those that use all cargo aircraft to adhere to the same level of security that those flying freight on passenger airliners have to implement at this point. And we're going to have a discussion about how that's impacting truckers, forwarders, and cargo airlines and airports. And by the way, that ICAO 2021 requirement starts in June. So in July, we'll have a sense as to what it's going to look like from an industry perspective. And then finally in September, we're going to talk about the airport congestion dilemma and what's going on there.
Okay. Once again, we have Brandon Freed from the Air Freight Forwarders Association. You have a board of directors election coming up, correct?
Yeah, actually, it's come and it's going. We are. It just ended Friday night.
Okay.
And we had, Joe, I got to tell you, we had one of the most impressive slates of candidates that, I've been doing this now for 15 years, and I got to tell you, one of the most impressive slates that I've ever seen.
Yeah.
And our president, Glenn Hall at ALG, did a great job at running the nominations and election committee. Very qualified people, but we only could select 7 of them. And we had several more running, and we'll be announcing that probably late this evening, hopefully. So, yeah.
We'll look forward to that.
Yeah, and and we're very thankful to our outgoing board members. We've had a lot of members that are terming out, or they're leaving the board because they have to spend more time with their businesses, and we fully understand that. But we're very appreciative for their past hard work and dedication, and their insight that, because we're an association where everyone rolls up their sleeves and helps out. And these are the heroes of our industry. They give selflessly, and they are always contributing. And I'm very thankful for their past service.
It's interesting, going back to topics we were talking about before, just my mind just touched on a few things. Supply chain's been a big discussion during this pandemic. Also, green technology, in logistics,
Yep.
Where it's going. Can you touch on that? I mean,
Yeah.
is just in time something that's going to have to be, people are going to have to second guess? And also, do you see a future with driverless trucks? And
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I could see definitely green or more green.
Well, so,
and
yeah.
I just don't see talk about essential workers. Our truck drivers are I just don't see a world without vehicles.
So as you know, and as your company knows, your offices know, we couldn't have survived this pandemic without the truck drivers.
Right.
They've been, with your operational people and your folks aside, the truck drivers are definitely the heroes of this pandemic, as are obviously the grocery workers and the postal people. But these truckers face all kinds of odds, making sure that the essential goods get to our supermarkets and keep us going. So, let's talk about green first. So, it's interesting in that we have the younger people coming out of school are focused on this. And I think they will drive a carbon-free agenda as time progresses. Maybe not so much in our careers as we get older and phase out, but definitely it will be the hallmark of theirs going forward. And, their request for proposals, as well as conditions to do work or business with shippers, will probably mandate some carbon offset in some way, shape, or form. We're seeing it more and more. We're getting, at the association, we're getting more inquiries about it. But as you know, you've been in this for a long time. This is this can be a dirty business. We burn fuel to get cargo to destinations. So
yes.
Obviously, airplanes are inherently dirty, but there have been significant strides made. Obviously, they're using new types of fuels, and of course, new aircraft that are coming out. The U.S. airline fleet, probably the global airline fleet, has seen a revamping over the last few years, and so obviously they're getting better fuel savings, and they're reducing their carbon footprint. Truckers are doing the same thing, and of course, Joe, I mean, we'd be remiss if we don't talk about electronic vehicles. We're starting to see trucks that are the beginnings of trucks that are electric.
Yeah,
that will reduce the diesel footprint as time goes on. So I think that's a big thing. Now, when you talk about autonomous truckers, I think the technology is there. What's not there is the regulatory piece.
right.
And these states have a lot of concern. They have liability, because if a state says, sure, these trucks can run on our roads without drivers, if something happens, the state's liable. They can be immune from prosecution to a certain extent, or liability to a certain extent. But in the end, the public safety is their primary concern and their responsibility. That's not to say that these vehicles aren't unsafe, but they're just unproven at this point.
Yeah.
But if you and I were to take out our crystal ball and, look at it, and let's say we project out 30, 40, 50 years, yeah, sure. I think that trucks will run routinely on the highways, autonomously. There'll be a piece of it in the final mile. It's going to be very tough to get rid of that final mile piece. They can do it, but, I've got grocery vehicles running around my neighborhood at home, and I'm not sure how successful it is, but the humans, there's always that human touch that people crave, and we'll see what happens. But look, I'm not always right on these things, and for all I know, it's all going to be automated.
Yeah, no one can predict the future. No one predicts.
But let me say another thing, and that's that FedEx has already proven concept on a pilotless flight. They I think it was a Cessna Caravan that
Really?
they flew a flight on.
Yeah.
Pilotless planes are probably going to come. We're going to see it on the seas. We're also going to see. We're starting to look at this now. There's an automobile carrier out of I think it's Denmark or Norway that is going to be building a ship that's propelled by sails, wind sails.
Yeah.
And that's how they'll be transporting automobiles over here to the United States. So there's a lot of exciting things to come, and all of it good.
Yeah, definitely.
One of the advantages, Joe, of the pandemic, and there are very few, but one of the advantages is the air around our cities is a lot cleaner.
Yes, it is.
Right?
Yes.
So there's a lot to be said for that.
There is. I agree. All right, Brandon, thanks for joining us again. What's the best way to find you?
Well, the best way to find me is through the Air Forwarders Association here in Washington, D.C. I'm at BFRIED, BFried, at airforwarders.org. And you can always feel free to give me a call at 202-577-9536. And we're here to help in a lot of ways. We deal with TSA routinely. In a lot of meetings at TSA in the air cargo division, deal with CBP issues, anything that impacts the freight forwarder, we're here for.
Okay. Well, great. Well, thanks for joining us, and hope to have you on soon. It's always a pleasure to talk to you.
Always a pleasure, and thanks for your support. Really, it's appreciated.
Thanks, Brandon.
Okay, take care.
Click the subscribe button for new videos every week, and download us and review us on iTunes. Visit www.beslogistics.net for more logistics, transportation, and warehousing resources. Thanks for watching.